Welcome back, everyone. It's the Bourbon Judge. We're back at it with two brand new expressions from Kluke. Yes, Kluke. So when you think about Kluke, a couple things come to mind. First and foremost, I had on the owner of Kluke, Jonathan. Jonathan joined my channel. We did a live stream, so I'll include a link up above. But honestly, Kluke so Jonathan is essentially a whiskey sommelier, right? And, you know, he's owned a liquor store, has been in the family for many years, has done extremely well, and he's picked, you know, hundreds of thousands of different barrels of whiskey. So he wanted to start his own brand new whiskey company. He called it Kluke, named after his children. And, I mean, the quality of the whiskey itself, I mean, truly great quality whiskey, straight up. When I had Jonathan on, we went through a whole bunch of like different batches of whiskeys, but the two that I had that I ended up buying myself as well was this one here. Batch 7 of their high rye small batch cask strength whiskey, and then the one that honestly might even crack my top 10 of 2024 is this one over here. Woo! This is the Kluke blended straight bourbon whiskey finished in the Cabernet barrels. This is the Keenan Reserve. Oh man, this Keenan Cabernet Reserve finish, that wine finish is out of this world. If you are a wine finished like whiskey person, I will guarantee you will love this. So Jonathan's doing a phenomenal job, honestly, in creating like these small batch whiskeys and so forth, so much that he actually sold his store and he's now focused 100% of the time on Kluke whiskey. So purely Kluke whiskey. He's focused on that 100% of the time. So what else do you think about when you think about Kluke? So they're available in like 5 different states: Louisiana, Kentucky, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Wyoming. But the easiest thing to do is to go online and get their whiskey. So these two brand new batches that came out, batch 8 of the small batch high rye cask strength whiskey, and then batch 2 of the toasted bourbon. These two are available. They were available on Sealbox and Shared Pour. They sold out on Sealbox. So if you're looking for them and you're not in those 5 states, honestly, go directly to Shared Pour to their website. They're both still available, at least as of this morning. They were still available, so that's probably the easiest place to kind of go ahead and get, you know, these two items. All right, so I poured both of these. Oh man, I don't know which one I want to start with. Do I want to start with the toasted or do I want to start with the high rye? All right, I think I'm going to start with the toasted. All right, let me go ahead and get into this nose real quick. So this one, first and foremost, look at the proof. So batch 2, so both of these, I should say, they came out at the end of February. So I think it was like February 27th. So essentially like the beginning of March, these came out. So the toasted barrel bourbon came out at 118.2 proof. So 118.2 proof. Let's get into the nose real quick. So 118.2 proof. This produced a little bit over 1,700 bottles. And the cool thing is for both of these, MSRP for both of them is about $110. Very nice. So I will say, a lot of people are taking source whiskey and just throwing like their own label on it, and it's okay most times, right? But Jonathan is truly blending his own whiskey, and I'm telling you, blending whiskey is truly an art. It is an art. There is so much that goes into it. It's not as easy as most people think. It is truly, and I mean literally, it is an art. Based off of the previous batches, my guess are these two are probably pretty darn special. We shall see though. All right, 118.2 proof, $110 MSRP. Nose-wise, oh my gosh. This just reminds me of like just squeezing, honestly, the best analogy I can think of is like squeezing like some like honey, some caramel into like a big, like a barrel, essentially of whiskey, right? Ton of honey, ton of caramel, and like a smidge of like a almost like a cinnamon meets like a coffee kind of a note in a way. Oh, this is amazing. But I love like that honey caramel kind of a note mixed with a little bit of cinnamon in there as well. Oh goodness, I can't wait to try this bad boy. All right, here we go, folks. Cheers. Oh wow, that is so nice. What I missed in the nose, but I got it in the middle of the palate and at the end of the palate as well. There's almost like a creme brulee kind of a note in the middle of the palate, as well as the end of the palate also. Let me get a little bit more. Oh, goodness gracious. Goodness, Jonathan. Wow. But that honey that was in the nose, that stayed through the middle of the palate as well as the end of the palate. At 118.2 proof, nice long full finish. It's sweet, has a nice subtle note of like some spice in there as well. A little bit of some pepper notes in there also. It's sweet, a little bit spicy. But what I love about this is that the caramel and the honey note that was in the nose, that stayed throughout the entire beginning to the end of the palate. But then you also get a really good note of like a creme brulee kind of a note, also in the mid toward the back of the palate. That is exceptional. I'm getting some more. Goodness gracious. It's funny. People, a lot of us out there, are just hunting and chasing anything that's Buffalo Trace, right? Buffalo Trace this, Buffalo Trace that. Folks, I'm telling you, people ask me all the time, what kind of brand should I be hunting for? This brand is what you should be hunting for. Stop all the Buffalo Trace highly allocated stuff. This is amazing quality whiskey that you can actually just go online, click and buy and get it shipped to your house. This is amazing. This is the first batch of their toasted product that I've ever had. I didn't have batch 1, so this is batch 2 of the toasted bourbon. I did not have batch 1, so I was kind of wondering whether or not this was going to be okay, bad, or great. And I think you know where it landed. Let me get a little bit more. Wow. That lands in the great category. Verdict number 1 is in. That, my friends, is a buy every single day. Wow. I am extremely impressed with that. To me, he did such a good job of like toasting like the barrels, because it's such like a sweet note. I mean, honestly, if I was sipping this blind, I might almost even think that this was like a finished bourbon, like finished as in, I mean, it is finished because it's toasted, of course, but finished as is like almost like a honey kind of a finish, almost. There's a ton of like honey notes in there. Great job, Jonathan. That is another grand slam. So I got to give credit to Mrs. Judge. She got these from me on Sealbox. Sealbox or Shareport, one of the two. Right when they first came out, she got them for me on either Sealbox or Shareport. So I was extremely excited when I saw the package, saw the box show up. I was like, wait, what is this? Mrs. Judge came through again. So, all right, now let's move over to batch 8. So this is batch 8 of their high rye small batch cask strength whiskey. So this one comes in at 118.8 proof, and this one produced a little bit over 1,800 bottles. Again, MSRP like the other one, $110 on the dot. All right, I've already poured a little bit so I can kind of air out. Let's get into the nose real quick. Whew. Wow, a lot more peppery kind of a notes in this one. Ton more pepper, smidge of like floral. It's sad to say that when this high rye bourbon, sometimes Jonathan will use up to like a bourbon that has up to like 36% of rye in the mash bill. So like this is truly a high rye bourbon small batch, truly as a whole. And this is a spicy little beast. Woo! All right, before I get into the palate, 3 quick easy favors. Number 1, hit the like button. Number 2, drop me a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Have you tried Kluke, either the batch 2 of the toasted or batch 8 of the high rye cask strength bourbon? And if so, what are your thoughts on it? Last but not least, please make sure you also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you get notification each and every time I release new content. Cool? All right, here we go. Cheers. Oh, that's nice. Peppery. Wow. Tons of like a good blend of like brown sugar meets like some leather. That's really nice. Very rich. Oh yeah. Tons of leather. Very spicy. Woo! That is spicy. I love that high rye in there. Very spicy. Tons of leather. Tons of like brown sugar. I need another little sip. Long finish at 118.8 proof. This actually sips closer to like 125. That is extremely bold and vibrant, all the way from the beginning of the palate to the middle end of the palate. That lingers for a while. I'm gonna get a little bit more. This is also pretty special. If the judge is pouring a second pour, I think you know where my vote is. But I want one more pour. One more pour. Just to be safe. You never know. Someone has to do it. Wow. That's extremely bold and vibrant. Goodness. I still feel it kind of going down, boy. Oh, man. A little bit more. I love how the pepper meets like the leather and brown sugar. They mold so well together. It's such a rich, unique experience all the way through. And by far, this sips easily where, I mean, it's 118.8. It sips like it's like 125, to be honest with you. Maybe even like 128. Very bold, very peppery, and it is. Wow. That is pretty darn special. Folks, you asked for another verdict. Judge is always going to keep it real. That too, my friends, is absolutely amazing. So many people will ask, Judge, did you like one better than the other? Whew, that is still going down. That is strong. That is very bold. So honestly, it depends on what your preference is. If you prefer a sweeter bourbon or a sweeter, let's call it like whiskey experience, you probably would lean more toward the toasted. If you prefer that knock you out, cask strength, very bold, very vibrant type of an experience, and you don't like a sweeter type of a whiskey, then I would go for a batch 8 of the high rye bourbon. They're completely different. They're not even similar at all. Let me be crystal clear. And I am extremely thankful that Mrs. Judge bought both of these for me. Shout out to Mrs. Judge. Hey friends, until the next time, peace, cheers, most important, salute. Take care.